Turkish officials have strongly condemned a recent meeting by Israel's ambassador to the UN with known Feto supporter Enes Kanter. Gilad Erdan posted a photo with the NBA player on his Twitter, saying they would work together to fight anti-Semitism. But Turkey's ambassador to the US was quick to point out that the group Kanter supports has been known to make anti-Semitic statements. Turkey's permanent envoy to the UN also blasted the meeting, saying it was shameful that Israeli officials would meet with a supporter of a terrorist group. Feto was behind a failed 2016 coup that killed 251 people. Hundreds who were on trial for participating were also recently sentenced. Feto's leader, Fethullah Gülen, remains at large in the U.S. Washington's failure to extradite him remains one of the major sticking points between the U.S. and Turkey. And joining me now from Istanbul is Mehmet Celik. He is the managing editor at Daily Sabah, and also from Istanbul, Vehbi Baysan. He is an assistant professor at Haldun University. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you here on the program. Turkey's relations with Israel are at a pretty low point, but now with the Israeli officials openly meeting with the supporters of the Feto terrorist organization, it's bound to make things much worse, I guess. So, Vehbi, what sort of a fallout can we expect?
Well, that's, I think, very much related to past behaviors of Israel, which that fallout between Turkey and Israel came after Turkey stated that actually what happened in what do you call it, in Egypt against Morsi, an elected president all around the Middle East, the military coup was welcome, and Turkey said this is a military coup, unacceptable. Same behavior we see now here. There are many other problems, of course, with Israel. That's the same thing. I mean, here in Turkey, there was an attempted coup in which over 250 people lost their lives, 250 unarmed civilians lost their lives, and also over 4,000 injured. And Turkey is saying, well, look, this is unacceptable in any standard in the modern world, but yet the champions of democracy and champions of so-called, of course, in the Middle East, that's how they portray themselves, are now hand in hand with the reps in the US. So I don't know what they have, because we don't have any official announcement or explanation for their behavior, but that shows the diplomatic standards Israel is adapting, both in the so-called developed world,
yes,
in the US, as well as in the region.
Yeah, so Mehmet, isn't it hypocritical of the Israeli officials to support a terrorist group that is, we know, that openly anti-Semitic, because Feto and its leader have repeatedly demonized the Jews in the past. So what kind of message do you think Israel is trying to give Turkey with that tweet especially?
I think the latest incident of the, taking a photo with a Feto supporter or Feto member is a reflection of a politics that Israel has been following for several years now, actually, particularly during since Netanyahu's election and him running the show in Israel. This is simply saying that, look, we know, of course, I mean, the Israeli official is, of course, aware of who Enes Kanter is and what Turkey is saying about him. They're aware of that, but what they're trying to say and say, is that anti-Erdogan status is not changed, and even though this person is an anti-Semitic person, and they support, a terrorist group, we are still going to use that as part of the discourse that has been developed by Netanyahu and his administration against President Erdogan. The so-called pro-democracy or human rights and all that narrative becomes only a tool to serve their agenda against Turkey. And we know that the Israeli and Turkish relations have not been on smooth ground for nearly a decade now. Mm-hmm. So despite the several attempts to fix the relations, the grounds have been very shaky, and in fact, it can't be any lower than they have been right now.
So, Vehbi, is it safe to say that Israel is using Feto as a tool to antagonize and confront Turkey in the region? And will there be diplomatic consequences if Israel keeps doing that?
We can say that, but I think what's important here is this the official position of State of Israel, or actually some group trying to jeopardize the efforts that both sides, I know behind the scene, trying to put to kind of have better relations. So we don't know that. That's very important. But if it is a state policy, but if we, I mean, remember what Netanyahu said in the past, there is no will and there won't be in any near future re-establishing relations between Israel and Turkey, then this can be interpreted as the official position. But we just hope it's not, because we're talking about a terror organization, as I said earlier, that actually has blood in their hand of innocent people. They had nothing to do whatsoever. They just were out during that failed coup attempt to save their democracy and to save their country, but yet they were brutally killed. So now we have yet pioneering democracy in the Middle East, so-called Israel, actually hand in hand with these people posing, giving photographs. Is this testing Turkey's reaction? We don't know, because you know, a lot probably behind the scene going on. But I think we should invest and be hopeful that, you know, any investment towards rebuilding bridges between Turkey and Israel is important. But these kind of attitudes are not really helping the situation at all.
So, Mehmet, just this week, a dark chapter has closed in one of the biggest cases related to the 2016 failed coup. A Turkish court has given 337 former pilots and other suspects harsh sentences. Dozens will serve life in prison. What's next moving forward for Turkey?
You know, I think it's important to highlight that one significant nuance here. The fact that these people carried out a coup against Turkey, the fact that there were 251 people killed and more than 2,000 injured, Turkey showed that it still it still follows the human right, universal human right principles, and they put these people to trial rather than simply what happened, for example, in Egypt, a very strong ally of Israel in the region.
Yes.
So this is a significant point to hold, I think. But with regards to what goes next, I mean, Turkey, with the incoming Biden administration, Turkey will still push forward with, you know, demanding extradition of Feto members in the U.S. And now that Biden also has a simply different position with regards to how Israel has been acting in the region compared to Trump administration. Yes. I think some sort of messages will be given, and that those messages may actually push Turkey, push Israel or other rivals of Turkey in the region to come to a reconciliation period with Turkey. So Turkey will push forward for its anti-terror policy, whether domestically or internationally. But I think for the region, some sort of dynamics will change. Even for Saudi Arabia, we're seeing some sort of positive messages, and Israel may join that as well.
So very briefly, Vehbi, because we're running out of time, are you hopeful that the Biden administration will take Feto terrorist Gülen's extradition request by Turkey differently?
Well, they better do. I mean, I'm an optimistic person, but let me add what Mehmet just said, is that over 250 people got killed, did not have a fair trial. It was summary execution, and a war plane opened fire over people. I hope that U.S. would see that what happened, the terrible things happened that night, and actually, again, reestablish that good allied relationship with Turkey, because Turkey is an important country in the region and doing very important things. So I'm very hopeful, but I mean, obviously, next coming year is vital and very important between the two countries.
Yeah, especially the first crucial year. Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.